We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Say hello to someone you don't know.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet and see the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
Well, I'm home. It's wonderful to be home. There's no place like home. There's no. So, I come home and I get bombarded with all the news that's been going on while I was gone. While we were gone, Dr. Joe's still in P-Town. He went for a vacation, which I feel like I need a vacation from that vacation. I'll tell you all about it. But anyway, let's just take a deep breath in and let's just let go of what's been going on and just center ourselves in that divine love, that peace. Let's take a deep breath in. Just let it go.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, and everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment here, to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Please sing with me. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. So I invite you to go deeper in. As we settle into that secret, sacred place of the Most High, that place that I know that there is only one love, one heart, one mind. The infinite presence of God is always, always in action. For it is closer than the very breath that we breathe in and the very breath that we breathe out. God is. God is. God is. And as God is, I am. I recognize that forgiveness is love, and that love is forgiveness. God is love. It is the oneness that permeates through each and everything, each and every activity, each and every thought, idea, and word. It is our birthright. And I know that it is a choice to forgive. It is a choice to be in that practice, a choice to know that that is exactly where we need to be. For we are a kind and loving people. We offer grace in this action. There is mercy in this. And all the activities that have brought us to this point, everything that has happened this week, everything that has brought us to this very moment now in this place, in this community, brings us to a place of opening our hearts, allowing for that absolute forgiveness to take place for ourselves and for others. For we can harbor no ill will. It is the law not to harbor no ill will. So in the beauty of today, I recognize all of those people that are here that support this service, from our musicians, from our concierge, for the light people, the soundboard people, for our bookstore, for our office, for our grounds people. For each and every practitioner who is available to you 24/7, 365, and our ministers who are also here to be of support, to be of service, to help heal a wounded heart or something that doesn't feel as well as we would like it to. And for Reverend Laura, in whom Spirit speaks today, in whom he is well pleased, and the Word of God comes through in vibrant, vivid words and actions and feelings. So with all that has already been said, all that I know that is already love, and with the gratitude in my heart and the thanksgivings and blessings that I know are absolutely within, I release these words into law, where I know that they are already so. And if you're in agreement with me, please join by saying, and so it is. Amen.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments. I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments. I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence God, you find yourself. And we find God, we find
Shower the people you love with love. Wow. Well, it's great to be home. So great to be home. When we were in Peru, we were really what we called the love bubble. As Dr. Edwards said, we were in a love bubble, right, Linda? We were in a love bubble. And we really didn't know anything that was going on. And, I look at our global vision. This is our topic for this month is loving kindness and forgiveness. And what we know a lot of times in our prayers is that everything the opposite of what we're praying for sometimes shows up. How long have we been doing the peace song, right? I've been in this teaching since the 90s, and we always used to end our services with the peace song, and yet we look around and we go, seriously? So we're in Peru, and when I do my talks, I like to know what my title is going to be, and this was the title for this week, Your Biggest Victim, You. And so I'm looking, when I like to know, during the week I kind of look at stuff before my talk so I can kind of put it all together so that when I give my talk, it's kind of fresh and it has meaning to me. And so what I was going to talk about before I got home, we had no internet there, really very sparse internet, so we didn't know what was going on. The last thing we had heard when we landed in Peru was that there was a bombing at the airport in Turkey. And we're like, thank God we're in Peru. And it was wonderful. And so my talk originally was going to be about the Peruvians and the Incas, how they have forgiven. Now, we had some amazing guides with us. We had a shaman that was a guide, and we had a very spiritual man. We had Victor and Juan, and they were wonderful. And they told us, the wonderful thing when we go with spirit tours, we went to Bali before, and if we ever have another tour, and we are planning another one, what I love about this group, you can probably find guided tours that are less expensive, but you won't get the quality and the depth that you get with this tour. And so we learn not only the history and the culture of the nations or the countries we go to, we learn about the people and we learn about their spirituality. And Your Biggest Victim, You, I was listening to our guides talk about how the Spaniards came in the Inquisition and basically wiped out their race, the Incas. They wiped them out. And they were very connected to the earth. They were the elements. And one of our guides told us, he said, it's important that we all love Mother Earth because Mother Earth doesn't need us, but we need Mother Earth. And so we need to respect it and honor it. And I thought, and here these people were so forgiving. They had all this gold and silver. And the Spaniards came in, and there's a little more history to that. There was some inward fighting among brothers for the power, the gold and the riches. They wanted to rule the country. Their father had died, the emperor, and there was inner fighting. And the Spaniards just happened to come along at a time when they were weak and took over. And there's this beautiful cathedral there in Cusco that, there must have been at least 20 altars, over 20 altars, all this silver and gold and very ornate and a different story with each altar. And yet there was one little rock in a corner in the cathedral that was from the Incas. And they were so grateful to have that part of their heritage in this Catholic church. And so they were all about forgiveness. They were all about love. Here, their nation basically had been wiped out. and new ways of being were forced upon them, and yet they really clung to what they believed in. And one of the things our guide, they were so beautiful, and they said, they called us, my brothers and sisters, you've returned home. And they said, we are all one, and that we all have come from the stars, each and every one of us. And it was beautiful. And so I thought, here are these people. They don't consider themselves victims. They're holding on to a lot of their culture by sharing it, but they were beautiful. And so forgiveness is not simply an event. It's a paradigm. It's a way of being. And that's how they are. And we're up there on this mountain, and these guides, right, Dale, they were all about love and how we are all one and we're all on this planet together. And some of them had some, what Dr. Joe thought were really woo-woo ideas, but I liked them. They were talking about space and aliens and giants and leprechauns and mermaids and some really mystical, stuff. But I thought, hey, it's beautiful. And they were such beautiful, charming people. But forgiveness was what they were all about, and about love. And we're up there on this mountain. And let me tell you, this was not a trip for the lighthearted. This was rough. This was rough. I don't even care if you're in great shape. That altitude was rough. And what was beautiful about our group is it kind of reminded me of ants going across a pond. We were all helping each other up the hill, and our guides were wonderful. And it was a very bonding, beautiful experience. But they are a country of love, and it was just wonderful. And so I come home. So if God knew sin, he would be a sinner for what the infinite mind knows must be. So we come back home, and I'm checking my emails, and on the minister's listserv and practitioners, there's all this prayer about what had happened. And I'm like, what the heck happened? I can't leave you people for 8 days, and the place falls apart. No. And so I'm like, what happened? So I emailed Carol Davis, who's my practitioner and a dear friend. I said, what the heck happened? What's something in Baton Rouge and Minnesota and Texas? What happened? So she sent me the videos, and she sent me the news articles. And I'm like, wow, okay, what am I going to do? I seem to get like Orlando. It's like Dr. Joe seems to conveniently go on vacation when all this stuff hits. And so I love this, that if God knew sin, he would be a sinner for what the infinite mind knows must be. And so what God knows is all love. And that sounds like such a cliche right now, doesn't it? So I want to share with you this letter that Dr. Ken sent out. I don't know if some of you have read it or heard it, but I think it's worth hearing and sharing with you. He says, our hearts are broken open once again by senseless violence and unjustifiable use of force against African Americans in the United States. Alton Sterling and Philando Castile are the latest names added to a list that is far too long. Like many, I am tempted to decry a growing epidemic. But in truth, this violence is not new. What is new is social media and cell phone cameras that have raised the level of general public awareness of a persistent issue. And let us be clear about what the issue is. This is not a policing issue, nor is it not a gun issue. This is a consciousness issue. Our modern technology is giving us a gift, the gift to see what is really going on. Our social media reveals that which has always been true, that we are all connected. To quote Mother Teresa, we belong to each other. Through this connection, we see the devastating pain and discomfort that comes when we engage in behavior that breaks the bond of that inherent spiritual connection. We must be willing to be uncomfortable and stay uncomfortable. What do we do as we sit in this discomfort once again? Of course we pray. We pray not to take the pain away, but to enter into it and ask it to speak to us. It is time to come together to feel our collective pain so that we may reestablish our sacred covenant of belonging to one another. Once established in this bond, we must act in accordance with it. This is not just a call to prayer. This is a call to act in affirmation of our sacred connection to the one life of all. This is a time to affirm that all life is sacred, that Black Lives Matter, and to do what is ours to do in helping create a world that works for everyone. I encourage you to take time to pray, and I encourage you to take time to discern what you can do to add to the awakening of humanity to its spiritual magnificence. There are many resources online to better educate ourselves of racism, white privilege, and social action. We all can do something: read a book, take a class, join a movement, and we must. There is no quick and easy answers. There is only the measure of our willingness to create change. And he goes on and gives websites if you want to read and get involved. Isn't that beautiful? So I read that and I'm thinking, wow. So please, let's say our affirmation for today. I choose to have peace of mind as my only goal. So that was the affirmation for today in the outline. And I thought about it, and I was going to change it, and I thought, no, because if we have peace of mind all the time, then that should be our goal. Then we're not in fear, we're not in prejudice, we're not in hate, we're not in anger. We are at peace. And so that should be our goal at all times. And so who is a victim when we harbor judgment, anger, or condemnation? We all are. When we do that, when we hold any of those feelings, we are that. We are that condemnation. About 6 or 9 months ago, I saw a posting on Facebook, and it really touched my heart. And what it was, there were 4 little children. I want to say they were about the age of 5. They were like in kindergarten. And they would bring them in one at a time, the 4 of them. It was a little girl and a little boy, a little white girl, a little white boy, and a little African-American boy and a little African-American girl. And they had a white doll and an African-American doll in front of them. And they brought them out, and first a cute little white girl, she's sitting there, and they said, "Which is the pretty doll?" And she pointed to the white doll. "Which is the smart doll?" And she pointed to the white doll. And she said, "Which is the mean doll?" She pointed to the black doll, the African-American doll. "And which is the stupid doll?" She pointed to the African-American doll. And they did that with the little white boy too, and it was the same responses. Then the African-American children came in and they said, "Which is the pretty doll?" And they pointed to the white doll. I mean, it broke my heart. And "Which is the smart doll?" And they pointed to the white doll. "Which is the stupid doll?" And they pointed to the black doll. "Which is the bad doll?" Pointed to the black doll. And then at the end, they brought the children, they asked each one, "And which doll do you look like?" And the white ones proudly pointed to the white ones, and the little black boy pointed to the black one. And then the little girl at the end, she was just adorable, little pom-poms, just so cute. And they said, "And which doll are you?" And she looked so sad. And she slowly pointed to the black doll. And so here are these little 5-year-olds already being and it may not even be their parents saying things. It's their observation of the world through our news and our media and the way we talk. And you think about oh my God. And I was sharing with Dale Olansky. I remember, and this was so innocent. I remember when my youngest son was getting ready to graduate in high school. And he always played football, and I loved having boys. And all of a sudden, I'm going to be an empty nester. And I was at Wendy's one day, and I forget the owner of the Wendy's, but he adopted children, or he had things where orphanages or something. And I thought, I think maybe I'll adopt, because I love being a mom. Maybe I'll adopt like a minority child, maybe a little black, boy about 5 years old, and because maybe it'd be difficult to get them adopted, it'd be easy maybe for me. And I remember coming home and telling my son, you know what I think I'm going to do when you graduate? I think I'm going to adopt a little African-American little boy, and I get to be a mom and maybe help somebody. And you know what his response was to me? You just want a football player. Another, because they're fast. Because my son wasn't very fast. And I'm like, what? And I go, but that would be nice. But do you see what I'm saying? How it's just so innocent how we do it. And we, as white, we take so much for granted. And so it's time for us to be awake to that and, and not be in judgment. So this is from the Science of Mind textbook. Remembering that spirit holds no evil toward man and that God is love, we should emulate this divine lesson and forgive all, that our hearts may be free from the burden of our own condemnation. And so that was the lesson I've been trying to look at. How do I look at that? So many innocent things that I take for granted in this country, and then we see what's going on and we think, oh my God, but what's happening is it's being brought to our attention of what we need to heal. So here I'm in Peru, and these people are so forgiving. And what had happened, I had shared with you about how the Spaniards came in and basically wiped out the Incas, and yet they've held on to their traditions and what they believe. One of the things when we hiked up to the top, there was this one temple there where during that Inquisition, all the men left Machu Picchu and went down to fight, and the women were up at Machu Picchu taking care of the land and toiling tilling the soil and planting and so forth, and keeping, everything going. And so there were no men there, but they wanted to get pregnant. They went to this temple, and they would pray at this temple for days until this light came down from the heavens and impregnated them. Now, so women, now you have an excuse if you get pregnant and to say, hey, it was a light. No, but anyway, this was part of, they saw the light. And, but anyway, it was beautiful. But we're up there on this hill, and and there's so many people. And what they were teaching us was about love and our oneness from all over the world, that we are from the stars, but we are all one. And the way we're going to save this earth is to love Mother Earth and to love one another. And I would get little glimpses of other guides telling their story, and it was very similar. And I'm up there and I'm thinking, how fabulous is this, that there are people from all over the world coming to this place, which is not easy to get to, and hearing this message, and then going back to Asia and Germany and Australia and the United States and wherever they came from, with being changed, looking at the world from that bubble that we were in Peru, and how wonderful that is, because each one of them will go back and share the story and change and touch somebody's life. And so this was one of the pictures that I took in Peru. And so I'm going through my camera, and it's kind of dark, and I was getting ready to delete it because and all of a sudden I go, and I was looking at the clouds. I said, oh, look at how the clouds just fit in. And then all of a sudden I saw the face. And to me, that was the face of God coming down, looking on us all. We're all up there on that hill like a bunch of little ants running around. And there's this magnificent outline of a face. And to me, that was the face of God looking down on us. And it was such a beautiful moment when I found that picture. I thought, oh my God. Anyway, so discernment versus condemnation. So it's one thing to observe something that we're not happy with, or we don't agree with something, and it's another thing to condemn it. You can have a child that may be a drug addict, and you may not condone it, and you may look at it and say, my dear one, I love you, but you can't do this in my house. That's discernment. You love them unconditionally, but you also have the right to make, it's not judgment, this is the way it is. This is who I am in relationship to this. Bless you, but this is who I am. So let's say this together, please. I choose to have peace of mind as my only goal. When we were up there, too, one of the things that, there were about, I think, 25 of us, and about 8 or 9 people were going to go on this hike the day after we did Machu Picchu, which was supposed to be a grueling hike, or maybe even the day we were doing Machu Picchu. They were going to go up this one, and I wasn't signing up for that one. I said no. I mean, they were talking about how you have to pull yourself up and then crawl through it. I'm like, no, not going to do that. So I'm thinking Machu Picchu, we're going to be down below looking up at the mountains. I thought the hike was, whatever they were going on. Well, no, we all went on it. Like I said, we're all helping each other up this hill. But the one that they were going to go on got canceled because apparently the tickets they bought were not really legit, and they were very disappointed. And I remember one of the people traveling with us was, they were disappointed because they wanted to go to this higher elevation. And one of them came and said, Reverend Laura, the only reason I came was because I thought we were doing that hike. And I said, you know what? There's a reason. Trust me. I don't know what the reason is, but that's where faith comes in. You have to let it go and know that there's a reason. So the day we all walked to Machu Picchu, and it was rough. And I said, he came up to me and he said, oh, Reverend Laura, you were right. He said, I could have never made that other hike. And so that was really, he saw it then as a blessing. But that's what happens in life. We get disappointed and things happen and we're angry and we don't want to forgive and we don't want to choose peace of mind knowing that everything is for a reason. And so these are some of the roots of our unhappiness. I'm not going to go through them, but we always look at, oh, it's them, it's this, it's my parents, it's my body, I know there were a few times I think, oh, Laura, you're just not in shape for this thing. I don't think I could have been, to be honest with you. And just we look at, these are the roots of our unhappiness by things that we are holding on to. And so instead, I choose to have peace of mind as my only goal. And sometimes on the trip, we'd have to remind each other, okay, let it go, just, and everybody just helped each other. And we had one lady on the trip, and I got ill like halfway through the trip. I just did not feel good at all, slept all day, but what was great is the next day I felt so fabulous. Have you ever noticed, boy, when you're ill and then you feel good, boy, you don't take your health for granted. You realize how blessed you are. We take our health so for granted. And boy, that next day I'm like, I'm back! And it felt so good to be back. And but we had one lady who got really ill right before we were going to Machu Picchu, and this was a bucket list for her. And she's 78, and she, and we said, you've got to make it. So our guides were so wonderful. They made her stay in the hotel we were in. We went up ahead, and then they got a personal guide for her in 2 days that took her up there. And we were all praying and rooting for her because we had already gone, and we already knew how treacherous it was. And she did it. And she said, I could feel your prayers pushing me up the mountain. And it was wonderful. And we all cheered. It was like a victory for all of us, right? And it was so special to have that. And so, like I said, then I come back, and I'm hearing all this stuff. And I want to share one more thing with you. Eugene Holden, I read this one. I'm like, what is going on? And Eugene Holden is, he's in charge of the Ministry of Prayer at our headquarters. And he wrote, I have been sitting with this, waiting for the right time and listening for what the message was that wanted to be expressed regarding the events that have been going on over the last week. I had to sit and process through the pain, the anger, and most of all, the disappointment. The waiting is over, the fog has lifted, and now is the time for me to speak. I must say I find it interesting that these recent events that occurred during the week that the nation celebrated the 4th of July, Independence Day. Oh, yes, this is the appointed time. I can only express from who I am, a black man living in America, serving Centers for Spiritual Living as the manager for World Ministry of Prayer. Yes, now is the appointed time for me to use this platform for something other than announcing upcoming training or events. Let us not be fooled. We are at war here, folks, as evidenced by the events in Dallas, Texas. And let us be clear here, this is not a battle between white and black or good and evil. It is a battle of consciousness. And this battle is an internal one, internal to the nation, internal to ourselves. The phrase jihad was initially longer. It was jihad al-nufs, meaning battle of the soul. Yes, this is an inside job. I know the practitioners of religious science, which include licensed practitioners, ministers, and all those who practice the principles of science of mind. Some of us may try to fool ourselves by saying that it is all good and that there's nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. However, the truth is, beloveds, there is much to be healed. You see, in order for the truth to be revealed, we have to heal the blocks, whatever they may be, that would act to block the divine revelation of spirit from being brought to light. This sickness of racism against people of color has been plaguing this great nation of ours for close to 400 years. Yes, 400 years. No, the sickness, the disease is not new. With the technology of today, the effect of the sickness has been boldly put in our faces like no other time in history. And truthfully speaking, this is a good thing. This is a good thing because we need to see the conditions of this body we call America. We need to see where we are called to do our work. We need to see the putting our heads in the sands of spiritual bypass no longer serve us, or the greater good of humanity. If there has ever been a call to prayer, this is it. And now is the appointed time to answer that call. I am not saying that we just get together and pray in our communities. This is indeed greatly needed and highly encouraged. However, we have to go deeper. We have to go beyond that. We are called to go deeper in our prayer work for ourselves. We are called to treat ourselves to uncover any and all discord within ourselves. We are called to pray for the courage to look at ourselves and heal whatever needs to be healed. Then after that, we are called to be the healing presence of the divine wherever we go, and to be that healing presence in the ways that only we can on an individual basis. As Dr. Ken stated, this is a call to act. It is written that faith without works is dead. Dr. Holmes taught that we are to treat, then move our feet. My beloved friends and colleagues, now is the time to get busy. Now is the time to put aside for good all of our petty gripes about how the organization is run or not run. Now is the time to stand together as united front, as Centers for Spiritual Living, proclaiming that we are here for love, that we are here for peace, that we are here for God. Now is the appointed time to have dialogue for the purpose of seeing the differences in people, then to accept and celebrate those differences without judgment or agenda. Now is the time to ask ourselves, how may I serve today, sweet Spirit? Now is the time to take a bold stand for what is right, not just for one race of people, but for all the races that make up this divine family called the human race. My beloved friends and colleagues, now is the appointed time, and we are the ones appointed to make the change. Join me and thousands of others in knowing the truth. In spite of the appearances, there's a healing going on, and it is going on right here and right now. I am grateful for a time such as this. I am grateful because we get to practice what we say we teach. And always remember, life is precious. Handle with prayer. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm telling you, we are the ones. We are the ones. We are those brothers and sisters of the Peruvians, of the Asians, of the all. We are all one. We came from the stars. It is ours to realize, to look and uncover and discover, just as I did with my son, that there was some way that he was picturing, because of our media, that, all blacks are these great athletes or musicians. No, and I'm like, wow, where did this come from? And I want to share one more story with you. I was born in Michigan, outside of Detroit, and my mom worked for Teamsters, worked for Jimmy Hoffa, and my mom was born in the Philippines, as I shared before, and so she came to this country, and when I was born, she went out and she was all excited. She bought me my first baby doll. And it was a little black doll, a little black baby girl. And she brought it home, and she said, she was so excited she wanted to show my daddy this doll she bought me. And my dad got mad at her and said, do you know that's a black doll? And she goes, yeah. She said, but look how beautiful it's. And my dad said, you got to take that back. He said, what will people think? So this was back in the 50s, okay? And so do you see how an innocent moment, a beautiful moment, you can be made to think you're wrong. And, what's wrong? And then we learn, and we learn from that. I'm not going to make that mistake again, right? So it's innocent little things that we take for granted that we need to be aware of. And so let's say this again. I choose to have peace of mind as my only goal. And so in closing, I just want to share this last thing with you, because we look at all this turmoil, and this is from Dr. Holmes, and he says, stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we do not know the truth. When things look the worst, that is the supreme moment to demonstrate to ourselves that there are no obstructions to the operation of truth. When things look the worst is the best time to work, the most satisfying time. The person who can throw himself with a complete abandon into the limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. And so what happens is, what he's saying is, sometimes when we're treating for something, as we're treating for peace or whatever it is that you're treating for in your life, that all the crap that is unlike what you're praying for shows up. You ever notice that? I'm praying for this and look at what's coming up. No, that's the blessing. That is the blessing, because all that block, whatever needs to be discarded, is coming forth. And so it's ours to be that love and to be that light, and not to give in to this, and to do whatever is our internal work to do to make this a better world. And we can do it. And don't get caught up in the fear. Go deeper and deeper into that love, into that knowing that regardless of what this looks like, and regardless of what all this looks like, that face of God that you saw is always there, looking down on us and supporting us. And so be that love, be that peace in all situations. Just be. And so let's close with us saying this affirmation together. Confident that the ultimate goal of my life is emancipation from discord of every nature. I aid in the sure evolution of all of humanity toward this goal by remaining conscious of the unity of all life in all my choices. And so end your lesson, and Dr. Joe will be back next week. Thank you so much. I love you. I'm happy to be home.